Welcome to The Explainer. Today, we are diving deep into India's new criminal code, the Bharatiya Nyaya Sanhita. We're going to break down exactly how the law defines physical harm and what it means to restrict someone's freedom of movement. So you might think this is obvious, right? A slap hurts, a broken bone is way worse. But in the eyes of the law, it's not that simple. There are some very specific lines drawn, and knowing where they are is absolutely key to understanding how our justice system works. Okay, so first up, the law splits physical harm into two big categories. You've got hurt on one side, and then you have the much more serious grievous hurt. They sound alike, but believe me, the legal difference between them is huge, and it completely changes the consequences. So hurt is basically the starting point. It covers any act that causes you bodily pain, even if there's no visible mark. And it's not just about a punch or a slap. It also includes passing on a disease through physical contact or causing what the law calls infirmity, which is just a fancy way of saying an organ temporarily can't do its job properly. Now, to jump up to grievous hurt, things get incredibly specific. It's not just about a judge thinking an injury looks bad. The injury has to tick at least one of the boxes on this very precise checklist. And as you can see, every single one of these points to severe, often permanent damage. And check this out. There's also a time-based test. If an injury causes someone severe bodily pain for 15 days, or if it stops them from doing their everyday tasks for that same period, boom, the law automatically classifies it as grievous hurt. Okay, this is so important. The physical injury itself is only half the story. The law is just as interested, maybe even more so, in what was going on in the person's head when they caused the harm. What was their mindset? And that's where this key legal term comes in, voluntarily. Now, in everyday language, that just means you weren't forced. But in the law, it's more specific. It means you either intended to cause the harm, or you knew that your actions were very likely to cause it. Let's break this down with a really simple scenario. If you throw a stone because you want to hit Ashish and you hit him, that's clear intention. But what if you miss Ashish and hit Shubi, who's standing right next to him? The law says you're still responsible. Why? Because you had the knowledge that throwing a stone near people could easily hurt someone, even if it wasn't your primary target. Now, within the already serious category of grievous hurt, the law singles out one particularly horrific form of violence for special attention: acid attacks. Under the Bharatiya Nyaya Sanhita, an acid attack that causes any kind of permanent or even partial damage comes with a mandatory minimum prison sentence of 10 years, and that can be extended all the way to life imprisonment. And the law is really careful here to close any loopholes. It's not just about throwing acid. It also covers administering it in any other way, like, say, tricking someone into drinking it, as long as the person doing it intended or knew it would cause terrible harm. All right, so we've talked about physical harm. Now let's switch gears and look at another fundamental right that the law protects: our freedom to simply move around. And you'll see a really similar pattern here. Just like with harm, the law makes a big distinction. On one hand, you have wrongful restraint, which is about blocking one direction, and on the other, you have the more serious offense of wrongful confinement, which is about trapping someone completely. So wrongful restraint is pretty straightforward. It's when you stop someone from going in a direction they have every right to go. The key here is that it doesn't matter if there are 10 other ways they could go. If you blot just one path they are legally entitled to use, that's the offense right there. Wrongful confinement takes it a huge step further. This isn't just about blocking a path. This is about creating a boundary, a circumscribing limit, and preventing someone from moving beyond that boundary in any direction at all. And this is where it gets really interesting, because confinement isn't just about four walls and a locked door. You could trap someone on a roof just by taking away the only ladder down. Or, get this, it can even happen inside a moving car. So what this all tells us is that the walls of confinement don't have to be physical. They can be situational. As this car example shows, if you're inside something and you are physically prevented from leaving, you are legally confined. So the big takeaway here is that whether we're talking about physical harm or restricting movement, the law builds this ladder of severity. It's a deliberate system. It's designed to make sure the punishment fits the crime. The worse the outcome and the clearer the intent, the higher up the ladder you go. So once you understand these legal lines between, say, hurt and grievous hurt, or restraint and confinement, you start seeing them play out everywhere. from a simple argument on the street to a major headline in the news. These definitions are the tools our justice system uses. And it makes you think, where else do you see these fine lines being drawn to define what's right and what's wrong?